This is big breaking emergency news. We are now seeing a shutdown of a U.S. military plant that manufactures ammunition and artillery shells for the military. We're now seeing a major fire and a shutdown of this plant, potentially a sabotage, potentially an attack, or potentially just another coincidence that we seem to have with these fires and these explosions that hit our critical infrastructure every single week. Every few days, we're having a major story like this. And now the U.S. military, this is one of 7 major factories for the U.S. military, has now been shut down from this fire, right? So really quick, please hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'm posting multiple videos a day, keeping you guys updated on this big urgent news, and it helps to get these warnings out. So let's get into the details here. So you can see here, this is a picture of the plant in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and this is what happened. There was a major fire, people were evacuated, and there was a shutdown. So this seems very suspicious. This is one of 7 of our main artillery production facilities for the U.S. military, and it has been shut down from this fire. All right, so this is very suspicious. This could have been an attack, a sabotage on our critical infrastructure. How many different things have we seen for our airlines? Okay, something has to be going on. And the FBI actually opened a criminal probe into the Alaska Airlines where the door flew off. All right, they're looking into that as a criminal investigation because they think there's potential sabotage going on. So this could be happening at our production facilities as well. You can see here, it says a fire has broken out at a military plant in the U.S. city of Scranton, Pennsylvania, that has been producing munitions, including artillery and mortar shells, for supply to Ukraine. It says the major fire broke out at the ammunition plant on Monday, and they are citing a spokesperson for the U.S. Defense Corporation, General Dynamics, and eyewitnesses, right? That's what they're saying. This was last night. This happened Monday night, right? It's now Tuesday night when I'm recording this, so this was Monday night when this fire broke out. There was also videos shared online of dark smoke coming out of the plant's pipes, right? And that's what you're seeing right there. You can see here, it says that the fire was extinguished without any casualties. It says the plant is one of the 7 production arsenals manufacturing military munitions for the U.S. Army, including large caliber metal projectiles and mortar shells, such as the 155 millimeter caliber projectiles, the report says. Right, so that's things that are used in self-propelled howitzers and things like that. That's the 155. All right, so this is a critical munitions plant, and it has been taken offline from this major fire. It says the Scranton plant has been specially modernized to produce shells for Ukraine, U.S. magazine National Defense reported. It says before the Ukraine conflict, the factory produced an average of 7,000 artillery shells per month, while now it is expected to manufacture as many as 35,000 shells per month by 2027. Right, so this is critical infrastructure. This is one of 7 has been taken offline. So that's a major percentage of this is like 15% almost of our entire critical infrastructure for artillery shells has been taken offline for this fire. Is this a coincidence? Is this an attack? We saw this bridge collapse, right? The FBI is investigating it now as a criminal probe. All these things are going on. These attacks are happening inside the United States, but they are covered up most of the time because people would start freaking out if they realize that our food processing plants are being sabotaged, right? These fires, there could be directed energy weapons targeting these facilities and starting fires. We saw these fires in Texas burning down all the cattle ranchers, right? This stuff is happening constantly, right? And if the public was told that this is what's really happening, this is sabotage, and they investigate these things in the background all the time, right? And it always comes a few months later. They always say it's nothing. That's what they did with the Alaska Airlines. No big deal. Then a month later they said, whoops, this is a criminal investigation. Same thing with the bridge. They said no big deal. Then by the time everyone forgets about it 3 weeks later, they say, all right, the FBI is investigating. This is now a criminal probe, and we're worried something happened. And they're investigating the crew as well to see if there was any sabotage or neglect going on. And the pure fact that they have ramped up production of this so much, and they're ramping up going into 2027, already going from 7,000 per month to 35,000 per month by 2027. That's a 500% increase, 5x increase. That's a lot, right? And just that fact alone shows that they are getting ready for a big war, right? They are preparing for war to drag out and potentially new wars to even start, like we're seeing right now with Israel and Iran. This new war is popping off. This has never happened where Iran has directly attacked Israel, and Israel's never directly attacked Iran either. Right? They've always hit proxies and things like that. Right? So this is a big escalation, and just those numbers alone show going all the way into 2027. It's only 2024. Right? So that means they're anticipating war. They wouldn't be doing this. They wouldn't be increasing these contracts, spending this money, unless they know that a war is coming and more wars are coming. So they're going to need this. Right? So that's something to think about as well, that we could see this go on for years and years and years. This could be something that goes on for the next decade, these conflicts that we see, and they could start really affecting us domestically as well. We could see more hits like this to our manufacturers, to our supply chain, to our food supply, everything. We are going to see more stuff like this going into the future, and the military's anticipating it, and they're getting prepared for it as well. So they're ramping up their preps. You need to be ramping up your preps too. And this is all happening on the backs of what's going on overseas in the Middle East. All right, we have this conflict escalating, and we are worried about potential things like cyber attacks and things like that, right? And just yesterday there were shutdowns of the highway systems and the bridges all over the country, and the airports all over the country. There was Seattle airport that was shut down yesterday too that I didn't get to. Chicago O'Hare, the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, the Brooklyn Bridge in New York were all shut down yesterday, all at the same time, coordinated event. And then also yesterday, while all this was happening, this fire broke out at this production facility, right? So something's going on. Something's going on. It seems like America is under attack, and it seems like we have been under attack for years directly with these fires and explosions hitting our critical infrastructure. Every few weeks, there's a refinery going offline. There's a pipeline going offline. There's a farm being burnt down. The largest egg-laying facility in the country got burnt down 6 months ago, right? These things keep happening, and it doesn't seem like a coincidence. We also have this happened today. This was in Alabama, right? This could be an accident, but highways just being shut down left and right all over the place. This was along I-22 in Walker County in Jasper, Alabama, right? And this tanker exploded on the highway, right? And both sides of I-22 were shut down from this massive explosion for hours, right, to try to clear this out. And we're not sure if there were casualties or anything like that with this situation, but that's also what's going on in Jasper, Alabama, right? So these hits, these fires, you would think the U.S. is in a war zone, right? You'd think there's some kind of war going on here. There's more factories, farms, critical infrastructure, refineries that are exploding, going offline, catching fire. There's more here than you see in these active war zones overseas, all over the place. Right? It's big news if they have something like this. Think about if this was happening overseas. 1 of 7, 15% almost of the munitions production capacity was taken offline from a major fire. Think about it. Everyone would be like, oh, this is sabotage. This is war. This is part of the war. But when it happens inside the United States, it's people have normalcy bias to just be like, oh, it's just a fire. It's no big deal. So these things are happening all around us. You need to be getting ready, getting prepared, getting stocked up, right? Because things are escalating. And it seems like there could be something happen potentially for 2024 going into November, right? Maybe something could happen. Not saying it's going to, but something might happen before then that changes everything. We could have a black swan event. We could have a major shakeup, an October surprise, something along those lines that happens that changes what's going on this year, right? So be prepared for anything, guys. This is big. If this happened in any other country, they would be saying that they're investigating this as a potential act of war, right? And our U.S. military has been dismantled one by one. These ammunition production facilities, by the way, a lot of them don't look great inside either, right? A lot of their technology is old and it needs updated, and a lot of it is still being done completely by hand, certain parts of it, right? Certain finishing touches are done completely by hand. And we're talking about making 35,000 shells a month at one of these factories. This should be the most high-tech factory we have. And look at this neighborhood, by the way, in the background. Look how close this is. We're lucky that this fire, they were able to contain it relatively quickly, because this fire could have gotten to the storage facility where all these munitions are stored. And think about that. Think about what have happened then. Then it would have been a really, really big emergency, right? If the fire spread and something started going off. There's some kind of trigger, some kind of ignition, and we have a major explosion happening in the middle of Scranton, Pennsylvania. All right, so that's the other thing that's very dangerous about this, and we avoided a big one with this. Any type of fire at these facilities are going to put the entire town at risk. It's going to be like a giant bomb going off here. All right, that's essentially what's going to happen if this fire spreads, right? So be on high alert, be on red alert. This is our country right now. We're living in this next generation warfare where it's not always missiles and drones and things like that. A lot of times it's sabotage, it's supply chain warfare, it's siege warfare, it's Cloward and Piven strategies where countries are surrounded, supply chains are cut off, restricted, choked out, right? Made more expensive, made unsustainable. And then we also have the country being flooded as well, and we could have foreign military assets coming into our country undetected and you can almost guarantee that this has happened by the thousands. And people like that could also be causing sabotage as well inside of our country, starting these fires. Where did these fires in Texas come from, right? That was just memory hold. Everyone forgot. There's thousands of ranchers in Texas gone, wiped out. They're probably not going to come back. They're probably just going to get an insurance check. Some of them will, but a lot of them, their herds wiped out, their barns are wiped out, their wells are wiped out, and they're an older generation, and they're not going to take a decade or two to rebuild all this infrastructure that they had. They're just going to take the check, they're going to sell their land, and it's going to be bought up by developers and build these 15-minute cities and all these developments that they're talking about like that, just like in Hawaii as well, right? So this could have been a directed energy weapon attack too. We always see these things like spy balloons floating over the United States, okay? There's also satellite weapons as well that also could have potentially directed energy weapons on them that could be pinpointed at these locations and facilities, these critical infrastructures in our country, right? So if this was just a coincidence, then it's a really strange, the timing of it, everything. Think about what's going on in the world right now. And now this happens right when the U.S., right when we're entering World War III, essentially. Everything's popping off. We're going to see potential responses in the next 24 hours from Israel, right? Things escalating. And the timing of this is just too perfect. So get prepared, guys. Get out of these major cities, right? Look at that, right? It's too close for comfort, right? A munitions facility like this should honestly be like out in the desert or something along those lines in case an emergency like this ever happens, right? So get out of these major cities, get your prepper pantry stocked up, okay? Get your garden going, get your chickens going. That's what we're working on here. We got a ton of chickens. We got our garden rocking in the back. We got all these things that we're working on, and we're prepared, right? So don't be scared, be prepared. That's the motto here. That's the key to getting out of this on the other side, all right? So thank you, guys. I hope you have big blessings for your life, your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.